Outlast.
Little pig.
It's spooky, with spooky men,
Ah! Good God!
spooky noises, and an overabundance of spooky darkness. It's no wonder this game became popular, as many YouTubers used Outlast as a replacement for the popularity of Amnesia: The Dark Descent.
I'm just in this guy's crotch, so I don't know.
A horror game that got combat from its gameplay. How spooky. Now, Outlast is fine. I don't think the gameplay is good at all, as well as 90% of the sources of horror, both of which for reasons I'll explain. But the story is good, therefore the video will mostly be about the story. I want to be mostly positive for once. I'm really trying. Quick content warning, if any of the topics on the screen are upsetting or triggering to you, please feel free to click off. And spoilers. Lots of spoilers. Opening the game and selecting Nightmare difficulty because I'm a gamer. Given a page of exposition. This is just incredibly lazy. Fuck, I'm really trying to be positive. I actually do like this game. I just wish the game did something, anything diegetic to explain what we're told here. In the first cutscene, we drive and we hear a radio that adds nothing.
Buckingham Palace has announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
You could have easily added something that could give context to our character Miles. Just have a guy on the phone and he could be like, "Hey Miles, it's your big boss or whatever. You really want to go into this asylum? I heard it's dangerous. And it's not like you can fight or anything. Oh well, can't stop your ambition." Jesus Christ, I wrote this in like 2 minutes and it's fine. The second game explained our character way better. On the helicopter with your wife and she's like, "Here's the exposition for why we're in the game. Have a soup pie, have a soup pie." Sure, Outlast 2 also had a paragraph of exposition, and is shit, but at least they tried. Okay, rant over. We're Miles Upshaw, a journalist who is given a tip from a whistleblower of the company Murkoff, running the Mount Massive Asylum with rumours of room therapy going too deep, and something waiting for the doctors in the mountain. We will expose whatever secrets Mount Massive Asylum hides. After we look at the asylum, our guy Miles writes a note. Almost all the notes don't add very much. They're essentially just a way for the developers to add Capcom level 1-liners for asylum protagonists.
Where's everyone going? Aurora Borealis!
Because their video game, the opening to the asylum isn't open, so we just go around and do some Celeste level parkour. Side note, in the courtyard you can just skip the entire game by jumping up a bush and into the void.
There we go. Big speed run. I got it. Yeehaw! Oh, no I didn't.
After climbing in through a window, the lights switch off, leaving us alone in the dark. My script then tells me to transition into this section about the night vision. I don't think I meant to read that. Because we're a journalist, we're equipped with a camera, allowing us to channel our inner Logan Paul.
Having a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
Essentially, if we enter a room that's dark, which is likely to happen because the game is dark, we can enable night vision and are able to traverse through areas and see things. Is this a glorified flashlight? Yes. But it's unique, adding to this found footage vibe that the game goes for. Because the game needs consequences for using night vision, the camera has a limited battery, going down whenever night vision is used. Batteries we filled by finding different batteries throughout Mount Massive, and to be honest, the only good bit of gameplay that Outlast has for me. After exploring the asylum, we find blood splattered all throughout this hallway, a break room with blood somehow on the ceiling, and a case cooking meal ready on the counter.
Hi people, and I'm back cooking again, and today I'm making sausage.
Now, the setting of an asylum is perfect for a horror game, and to be honest, I really wish there was more medium set in an asylum. The only other setting of an asylum I've seen was American Horror Story Season 2, which is fine.
It's free real estate.
Please ignore my cardboard cutout of Evan Peters. I'm normal, but asylums are a classic horror setting, especially when you realise and adapt with how fucked up they used to be, and it makes me really glad that the new Outlast Trials reused the setting of this game. I wish I could play it, but I have like 20p on my Steam account. I say ignoring the 20 games in my Steam account that I've either not finished or just not even played. Truly some white person problems, am I right? Once we leave the vent, we find a room covered in bodies, blood, severed heads, and...
Out of this terrible place.
Right, that's it. We're told to leave, and our guy Miles doesn't seem opposed to that idea. Go throughout our merry way until...
Little pig.
I've After whatever that was throws us out the window, a priest finds our body lying on the ground. Seeing our camera, we're given the title of his apostle before leaving us alone, now trapped in this mess we've gotten ourselves into. Despite my bitching, this intro perfectly sets up the tone for this game. So it's some pretty shitty jump scares. Like seriously, you can see here that I didn't react at all. I just blankly stared. Overall, the message from the whistleblower, the murk of God telling us to leave, and this man grabbing us and hurling our body through a window like it's nothing, followed immediately by a priest spewing rambling to our ear.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
Perfectly setting up intrigue, the tone of what's to come. With our only exit unlocked in the security room, we have our new goal. Get the fuck out. While on our way to collect a needed security badge, we stumble across a small group of patients. Their faces and bodies covered in scars and boils, staring at a TV screen filled with nothing but static, looking broken. Anywho, our attempt to escape fails because this priest says no.
Computer says no.
Surprise, motherfucker.
This big guy is new Chris Walker. He's the main threat we see in the game. YouTube thumbnail and cover art poster boy.
What the lore? The lore, guys, the lore!
Chris was originally a Mount Massive employee, working as a surveillance officer who's serving the military throughout the Afghanistan war. However, Walker snapped, killing 3 inmates, eventually getting found guilty and committed into Mount Massive Asylum himself, leading to Walker tearing his face as a way to resemble him like his childhood pet lizard.
It's so hard to be a lizard.
Whatever caused the inmates to take over the asylum has caused him to be the hulking threat who everyone is afraid of.
I live in Smethwick, Birmingham. If you want the fucking brawl, come down Smethwick Hospitality.
And is our main threat to us, constantly finding us as a single enemy who finds us and chases us the most. No matter how long, no matter where, you can ensure that Walker will be somewhere in the shadows ready to hunt us. Once we're able to get the power on by pulling a couple of switches and getting stabbed by the residents of the basement, this priest stalks up behind us, injecting us with some kind of substance before grabbing us by the neck and forcing us to watch CCTV footage.
Our Lord, the Wall Rider, tearing his truth into the unbelievers. The only way out of this place is the truth. Accept the gospel, and all doors will open before you.
Now I have even more questions. What is dream therapy? How is it able to affect patients in this way? What is Wall Rider? And
got scared, stopped playing. Before I played Outlast, I had a small penis, no girlfriend, depression, and no life. These things haven't changed, but the game is pretty good. This game reminds me of sneaking to the fridge at 3 AM to eat shredded cheese out of the bag while my dad roams the house. Best hospital in Romania. Penis men.
we now wake up and find ourselves in the cell of the priest. All that we can do is to follow the blood. Now, unfortunately, there really isn't much going on in the main ward, unfortunately. Aside from the twins who stand there arguing how they wish to kill you.
His tongue and his liver, yours, mine.
Yo, mama!
Also naked. A couple of run-ins with Chris and the inmates.
I'm getting really sick of you!
However, there were like 2 moments which caught my attention.
Don't trust them. They'll tell you it's science, but it's not. They were waiting for us in this place. Billy understood. No more.
There's also a document about an inmate heavily implied to be the priest guy. Unsurprisingly, he's schizophrenic. I don't know if that's offensive or not. However, his higher calling, which we have seen, had increased due to a lack of an artistic method which the asylum disallowed. But to me, the real highlight was this gigantic holding cell. Something about the overwhelming noises of many inmates yelling and rattling the cell doors really put me on edge. Especially when I would just see them killing each other and trying to grab me, trying to grab hold of me, to throw me to my death like that guy. Entering the sewers and the wall rider showed up. He stole my credit card and knocked me out so I could buy V-Bucks with my money. And then we wake up and find ourselves in a chase. The only way out being pointed out by a voice telling us to get into a dumbwaiter. I'm sure nothing bad could happen.
You're the right choice here, buddy.
During the blackout, we stumble across a letter written by our boy. Now, something tells me normal doctors already know biology. Something tells me doctors know people live without kidneys. Something tells me doctors don't cut your fingers off.
I am a surgeon! I am a surgeon! Dr. Hunt, I am a surgeon!
Similar to Chris Walker, Traeger also worked at Malmassive, working as the head of the business development. However, after getting a female employee pregnant without consent, she spoke to the head, causing Traeger to be fired, making him furious, cursing and stabbing the woman with nearby scissors. One of the mitigation officers, who are the main characters of the Outlast webcomics, I think, grabs him and runs his head by a paper shredder, tearing almost all of his scalp. Traeger then got committed and was used for experiments. And in the actual events of the game, Traeger thinks he's a surgeon, killing the staff and making experiments on whoever he gets his hands on. So, you know, the perfect guy to be held captive with. Now in a wheelchair, sitting by the exit and mocking us with freedom.
You know, I love the mountain air up here at night. You want to head out and take a stroll? Go ahead, I'll wait here. Go on, run free.
Fuck you.
He then takes us to a surgery room, sitting us down, rambling in a conversation that's hard to follow. The only thing he can say that's any bit coherent is this.
You know, I'm a bit worried how much time you've been spending with Father Martin. I hope you haven't been letting him confuse you with all his holier-than-thou Bible thumping. No offense to the man, but I sometimes worry he might just be a little bit crazy.
Do you get it? It's because he's crazy. After rambling a bit, he cuts our fingies off before leaving and allowing us to escape through a quick time vent. Slammed in the sink and puking our guts out due to literally just having our fucking fingers cut off. We immediately grab our camera, merry way, not 1 minute from losing multiple fingers. We now have to find a new way out of this hellhole. Stumble across an ex-executive, now mutilated and lying atop a stretcher.
Do you honestly think you're fucking funny fucking with my friends? Seriously.
Now, Traeger is on our ass while we attempt to escape this place via the elevator. Although this section is essentially the same as most areas before, it's easily the most memorable moment of this game to me. Traeger's crazy, no shit, but he clearly has way more intelligence than the others, able to actually hold normal sentences. Now, something about being chased by a character actively mocking me and enjoying being the cat in this cat and mouse situation is terrifying to me. It's the same reason why characters such as Jack Baker in RE7 terrifies me.
You're about to see some more.
And sticks in my head way more than a big guy who seems dumb. Making it to the elevator, Traeger runs in for one last attack, pushing him through the door, squishing him to death, and giving us one of, if not the best one-line of all time. How to make Traeger juice. Step 1. Squeeze.
What the fuck?
Escaping the crazy doctor, we're met again by the priest. He seemed pretty pleased about our survival.
I feared that secular maniac would carve you up like the others.
Who you call secular maniac?
Now wanting us to meet outside, but on our way, the building is set ablaze. The culprit doing so because burning to death is less painful than living with the pain that Murkoff has caused. Then we go outside with the spooky ghost running up to us and fucking off. I don't like the Wall Rider. The contrast of a game witnessing the horrors of mentally ill patients being experimented on and mutating without their will, to this. I'm well aware that Outlast is not the most realistic game in the world, but this threw all immersion out a window for me.
It's 4 in the fucking morning!
But what is Wall Rider? Later. Seriously, just stop asking. You're ruining the flow. Exploring the female ward in search of the priest. Sadly, there aren't any crazy female characters on the same level of hotness as a certain DLC sexy man. I'm as disappointed as you are. Anyway, parkouring off the dilapidated ruins that resides in the interior, the floor collapses and the camera drops in the perfectly situated hole because plot. However, the game added a funny blue filter to the camera. I love the power of editing. We then have to traverse back to the area in search of it, as the game says we can't traverse without it. No, you can't die here. For some reason, the inmates here don't go for you until you pick up the camera. Also, here's me shitting myself to the only jump scare I found scary. And here's me pausing the game to probably cry or something, I don't remember. Making our way through to the priest some more. We get chased a bunch, found super important lore piece. I'm gonna go over when it's more relevant. I swear to God. Walking back through the main block once more, we see bloodstained ramblings like, God hates money, God hates sickness. Surprisingly, one of the more tame messages written by a Christian. The priest gives us the keys to the elevator, making sure the patients won't attack us. His only ask to us is to record his final sacrifice, which we oblige considering all he's done for us. Getting to the elevator, we're ready to leave and... Oh, you didn't think we'd be going out now. We've still got another hour of playtime, bitch! Murkoff's history began with Rudolf Wernicke, achieving fame with Alan Turing and working on a mortogenic engine with the Nazis. Because every fucking villain in a video game is a Nazi, this would experiment on patients in order to control them, which would make up the Wall Rider. However, if a patient was not compatible with the machine, which was a majority of the patients, they would be left with boils and then dumped into Mount Massive Asylum. However, in 2009, the company Murkoff would come out of the ground, reopening Mount Massive Asylum after the death of Wernicke. But deep down below, the experience would continue. And that's where we are now. I do like the concept of Murkoff. It feels like an even more evil version of Umbrella from Resident Evil. And this is like the 6th time I've mentioned Resident Evil in this video. What do you think, mandatory Markiplier inclusion number 2? Also, if you noticed here that in my game, the time is now close to 0, like the hour and a half from before. And this is because the game crashed after I beat the game. So the only way I could exit was by turning my fucking computer off. So I lost all the footage of the final area and had to redo this entire section. I love my life. Exploring this new location, we come face to face with the Wall Rider. This time it chases us, ready to actually kill us. However, we're stopped by Chris. Don't ask how he's got here. Like, there's no way this big dumbass would know how to use an elevator. Anyway, the Wall Rider grabs hold of Chris, throwing him around, and then there's really a pretty cool scene. How to make walk juice. Step 1. Squeeze. Walking back, we notice a door open and, oh cool, Oswald Spencer. 7th Resident Evil reference. Let's go. Anyway, Wernicke's not dead. He mentions how the current host of Wall Rider, Billy Hope, has killed off all of Murkoff except for Wernicke, as he believes him to be like a father to him. And then just explain the law to normal people who don't scavenge every document and read the wiki for a YouTube video like this idiot. However, Wernicke asks us to turn off the life support for Billy/Wall Rider. And because Miles has now become little errand boy, he complies, switching off switches during this really shitty final chase. After the final switch is pressed, Billy throws us to the ground repeatedly before crawling inside us. We get up, picking the camera, glad to see our priorities haven't changed, Miles, and crawl towards the exit. Finally, free. And now we've become the Wall Rider. I love the story of Outlast. It's a good experience, and although I've bashed it a lot, I really do recommend playing it. But I have a really big issue with the story, and it is the pacing. Outlast pacing is really bad. Such little happens that I've left out enormous fucking chunks just because of how little happens throughout so much of the game. Most of the time, you could just go from set piece to set piece. Then developers shit themselves, so they're throwing a chase with Chris Walker, or have you played X amount of MacGuffins, or pull this amount of things. It makes a lot of areas feel the exact same. However, there is something I've barely covered, which is now where this video will become much more negative. Because it's an Amnesia clone, Outlast has 0 combat, with the only ways to escape death being running or hiding. I don't necessarily hate this. With a couple extra mechanics like Amnesia's sanity, this can be good. Outlast doesn't have a sanity mechanic, and when you're a masochist like myself, I played on Nightmare difficulty, where every enemy kills you in 1 or 2 hits.
Aren't you a slippery little fucker?
So areas where you're completely blind just get incredibly annoying as you run around in the same dark corridors. Then again, I've always had a preference for traditional survival horror games like Resident Evil or Silent Hill, where you can fight back. Just look at the new Amnesia. It gives you a gun, and it's easily the scariest one, as you have way more to consider now. But everything in the game being the exact same made it so extremely boring and repetitive. Like seriously, the gameplay is nothing without the camera. There is literally almost nothing to talk about. Actually, something I did just realize, the AI is dumb and easily breakable.
Where'd she go?
After my first playthrough, I decided to try Insane mode. This is identical to Nightmare mode, you're still squishy and you only have 2 batteries max. However, if you die for real. I died not 30 minutes in. I really like the music of Outlast. It's completely orchestral, adding to this B-movie horror vibe. So, the story, good. The pacing, bad. Gameplay, shit. Music goes extremely hard. Now, why did I make this video? There's a certain somebody I want to talk about for season 2.